coming up on Refresh Cinema.
I love this. I gotta go off on this thing.
Do it.
Their father goes after realizing like the mom is not home and there's no dinner and it's raining. He goes to the one sanctuary a man has left, the the local bowling alley.
Yes.
Hey everybody, welcome to Refresh Cinema. I'm Vincent.
And I'm Jess, and today we are talking about Pleasantville.
Said to my wife, Bernie. Oh, sorry, boy.
One of my favorite movies. I saw it as a kid. It came out in 1998, so I was 7 when it came out, and it's just always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a really good movie that has fallen out of the public consciousness, which is weird because it got a ton of positive buzz and everything when it first came out, and rightfully so, because if you haven't watched it in a long time, or if you never watched it, you should, and we're about to go through all the reasons why.
Yes, it holds up. It holds up.
It's swell. Great.
All right, so last episode we were talking about Tremors, one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
I was extremely dominant in that video. I'm sorry. I got a little too crazy in that one.
As you should.
Yeah, but this was your pick, and a pick of yours I was so excited for. So, Jess, tell us about Pleasantville.
Oh my God. So the overarching theme is that Pleasantville is an allegory largely for racism and also for the fact that some people are pleasant only because they haven't been challenged, and it follows the change of this small little like fake TV town, and it's just beautiful. So we have Tobey Maguire, who I love, one of my first crushes, Reese Witherspoon, one of my first crushes after I realized I also had crushes on ladies.
Okay, there you go.
And they're probably like 16 or 17, brother and sister. Tobey Maguire is the nerdy, like very nerdy kid, and Reese is like the bad girl. She probably smokes.
She smoked.
She smokes. Yeah, she's like a super cool cheerleader. She calls herself, at one point, describes herself as an SLUT. So that's sort of her brand.
Thank you for saying it like that so I don't have to bleep it out.
Yeah. And Toby's character named
David
is obsessed with the show Pleasantville. It takes place in the 50s. It's all in black and white. And everything, which is funny, everything in the show is very black and white. Like, metaphorically speaking as well.
Well, yeah, it's definitely like inspired by shows like Leave It to Beaver, about, those classic 50 sitcoms have like the ideal American family where the mother and father, dad goes to work and makes the bacon, mom takes care of the household. Together they raise two wonderful American boys that are like, the nicest kids, that they may get into trouble sometimes, but gosh darn it, they always get through it.
Oh, yeah. So, Toby's character is obsessed with this show. And there's Pleasantville trivia coming up. Yeah. So he's prepping, he's getting ready, he's excited to spend the night in. And also at some point we meet their mother, played by the woman who is Malcolm in the Middle's mom.
I know the actress, but I never watched Malcolm in the Middle, so it just wasn't one of my shows.
I'll see myself out.
Oh.
So they introduce their mother as being a single woman. She's 40. She's getting ready to take a weekend and run away with a younger man. She's just a mess kind of mentally, doesn't really seem to prioritize her children. So that's the glimpse we get into their home life.
Yeah.
So the night comes for the marathon, and Reese Witherspoon's character wants to have a boy over, and she wants to watch the TV.
The baddest, sexiest boy in school.
Yeah, of course. And so they're fighting over the remote, and they throw it and they break it. And out of nowhere, ding dong, what's the guy's name?
The legendary comedy actor Don Knotts.
Don Knotts shows up.
Yeah. In
his creepy little "we fix your TV" van. So he is, I don't know how he just shows up, but
he's magical. We need to point it out. This guy is some kind of magical being.
But it's not explained.
Yeah, no.
It's not explained. So he shows up, and he's getting ready to give the kids a new remote. And Toby's talking about how much Pleasantville means to him, and they do a little trivia back and forth, and Mr. Knotts tests him on his trivia, and he has a remote in his hand to give to Toby, but then Toby answers this off the wall trivia question that he wasn't expected to get, and Mr. Knotts puts the remote back and he hands them a very special remote.
Yes, a very 50s all metal metallic chrome big
bright
buttons.
Silver. And we're like, something's going on here. And he says goodbye, and the kid's like, well, that's kind of weird, but whatever. Toby clicks it, and next thing we know, they are in Pleasantville.
Yeah, they get zapped into this, this made-up 50s television show they had, and they take the place of the two teenage characters in the show, and they go in, and the characters just the characters recognize them as I'm getting confused. Yeah, they don't see like, who are you?
People? And
yeah.
They're still Bud and
Mary Sue.
Mary Sue.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's like kind of like a quantum leap situation. They've just embodied the people that they've come into the show to. So yeah, and it leads into some. That's why just real quick, I love this movie that it totally leads into the kind of hijinks you would expect from a premise like this, especially with the comedy elements. But then, and as we'll get into it as the movie goes on, it goes into spaces that you've already kind of alluded to earlier that you really wouldn't expect. Like, this could just work as a weird, goofy, surreal fantasy comedy, but it goes in other places, and that's what makes the movie so special.
It is so special. So again, everything is still black and white, and they're even perceiving it all as black and white. And they're in the typical nuclear family. Mm-hmm. Dad goes to work, mom stays home, has dinner on the table by the time he gets home. What is his name? Who plays the dad?
William H. Macy.
Yes, William H. Macy. And it's a very nuclear family. They go to school, and they're in a geography class. And she goes, what is the difference between A Street and B Street? And someone goes, B Street's longer. Very good. And they're, late high school.
Yeah.
All the books are empty, but bleep hits the fan so quickly.
All because of Reese Witherspoon's character.
She just wants to stir things up.
Yeah.
I have trouble keeping track of the timeline because of how much happened so quickly. Like I told you, I thought I was 15 minutes in. I looked at the mark and I was 40.
Yeah. No, the movie's wonderfully paced. Like they establish who our characters are, the world that they've just been zapped into, pretty all quickly. And I love the Pleasantville world because, like you said, they have this geography class where we find out in the universe of this show, there is nothing outside of Pleasantville. It's like a pocket universe.
Yeah. What's outside of Pleasantville?
Yes.
Almost. And that's what makes it kind of because if it isn't mentioned in this show, it doesn't exist. Like, for instance, we find out later one of the scenes, like, the local soda shop where everyone goes to get a nice cheeseburger and a Coke. She goes to the restroom. There's no toilet because people don't poop and pee in 50 sitcoms. She needs to take a stress dump and there's nowhere to dump it.
Oh my God. And it's so funny. It's also, of course, none of it's real.
Right.
So I think the first scene where things start to go down, is that Reese in the classroom?
Yeah, there was geography.
She says, what's outside of Pleasantville? And everyone's like, more Pleasantville. What's at the end of the street? Just the next street. And she's like, I think she notices very quickly that all the books are blank.
Yeah.
There's just nothing in them.
Yeah. Because nobody's talking about, they go to school, but in a 1950s sitcom, they wouldn't be talking about, all right, today we're taking a look at, Huckleberry Finn, which does come up later in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. Yeah, I just saw, this world is so sterile and blank. And
it's not a real world.
Well, yeah, because
it's not the same universe as everything else, so there's just nothing but their routines.
Yeah, and I think this is what happens sometimes when today we kind of idealize the past. And I think we idealize it because through the media we had at the time, because a lot of 50 sitcoms were like this. They had a very ideal view of American life, which is why a really old school show called The Honeymooners, which is what the Flintstones was based on. The Honeymooners was a very cynical show for the 40s. You may have heard this classic line, one of these days, Alice, boom, to the moon, that show. That show was so popular because it was more realistic.
Yeah.
Because people were you live in a tiny little apartment. Of course, you and your wife are going to be stressed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's this idealized version of America.
And then there's Skip. Is that Mary Sue's love interest?
Paul Walker, yeah,
Played
Skip.
by the late Paul Walker. Yes. And he's, hey, Mary Sue, maybe I can give you my pin from my Letterman jacket. And she's like, how about you just me instead? And she is just there to stir things up. There's Lover's Lane where the but teenagers go to just like talk and hold hands.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where like everything's so isolated. There's a point where Toby's talking to his mother in Pleasantville, and she asks him what Lover's Lane is and what do kids do there. No, I'm sorry, she's talking to Mary Sue.
Mary Sue, yeah, this is after Mary Sue.
I'm jumping around.
You're
There's
jumping
just so much
well, that's it.
happening.
There is so much in this film, but I think it does it all very, very well. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, but you don't feel like you're being bombarded.
Yeah.
Which is once again credit to the pacing of the film.
Yes. Oh, Toby is late for his shift at the malt shop.
Yeah.
And the owner, help me with the name.
Jeff Daniels is playing the owner.
Yes. So Toby walks in, nothing's set up, and Jeff Daniels is just wiping the table.
Yeah.
Toby says, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, usually I open the blinds, you put out the napkins and the ketchup, and I wipe the table, but you never came, so I just kept wiping the table." And Toby's like, "You can put out the ketchup without me." And he's, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And that really shows you that these characters are so one-dimensional.
Yeah, they're one-dimensional. They're stuck in a clockwork-like routine. Like, this is the world. I'm the owner of the local soda shop. I just exist. It's not like Field of Dreams. If he steps outside the soda shop, he just disappears.
Yeah.
But that is his whole existence, because that's all his character was in the show. You run the local soda shop. You pour soda. You make burgers. That's it. He has a routine. And, like, it's cool as later we see these characters evolve and start to realize, oh, I can do other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is just credited to Toby and Reese.
Yeah.
Coming in. Oh my! I'm sorry. I'm so fuzzy on the timeline. Help me out.
Okay, well, so yeah, one thing I want to point out is there's, like I said, there's a lot of funny scenes in this. And one of the tropes of like classic 50s comedy is like the local sports team. And like, we see this point where like Toby's in the gym because he's on the basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
And the coach is like, "Come on, guys, we got a big game this week." But he says that later in the film. There's always a big game this week in television. We got the big game this week. It's always this week. And we see them practicing basketball, and all the team, they all shoot, and they never miss.
Uh-huh.
They never miss. In fact, they have this one shot where all the team, they shoot like 1 second after another in this great shot where they like basket. And they actually did that in real life. Yeah, that wasn't like a camera trick. They actually had the guys line up and shoot baskets, and they kept doing it until they got it.
That's amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Toby's looking around like, this is weird. So he kicks the ball.
Yeah.
And it bounces off the bleachers, the rafters, the ceiling, and he makes it. He's like, okay.
Yeah, because he wants to see, is it possible to miss? And he can't. This universe will not allow him to miss the basket. He could shoot it out of a cannon in the opposite direction, and it would somehow find its way back to the basket.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
And that's such like the prime example of like, this really is Pleasantville. There is no unpleasantness here. No matter what you do,
Yeah.
you're always set for success.
Yeah, and then Paul Walker's character comes to him and is like, "Hey, bud," and and he's like, he wants to ask Bud if he thinks it's cool to ask Mary Sue out, and Toby realizes, oh, we're in that episode. But Toby knows how Jennifer is, and she will jump his bones and rock his world, and he's under the belief that we can't do anything that didn't happen in the episodes because it could mess up our chances of going home, which he's not basing that on anything. He's just hiding the fact that he actually is enjoying himself.
Yes, and Jennifer is Reese's character's name. I don't think we discussed that.
Yeah, so Reese, her character name is Jennifer. Her name in the world of Pleasantville is Mary Sue.
Yes.
Toby is David. In Pleasantville, he is Bud. Bud, a classic. You don't hear no Buds. The only time you hear Buds, someone called Bud in a movie nowadays, is like the jerk off at the local bar who's drunk and beats people up.
Bud.
Yeah.
You want to play?
And I love the scene where he's trying to convince Skip to not go out with his sister because he doesn't want her to bang
corrupt him.
To corrupt him. And he has this moment because like for the first time in this fictional character's life, the concept of rejection and failure is introduced to him. And you see him like Paul Walker go like, "I don't know what I do. She wouldn't go out with me." And then he just chucks the basketball out of anger, and it misses, and it bounces across the gym. All the basketball players are freaked out. They all start by, and I love the coach. He's like,
"Come here, guys. Don't touch it. Stay back."
I'm sorry. I just love that. It's such a simple joke.
It cracks me up.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Just don't touch it. No, you can take now.
I'll take a little bit. I want to get back to you because this is your pick. So yeah, they go on the date, and she's trying to talk to Skip, and she wants to like she's trying to make out with him, but they don't even kiss in this universe.
Yeah,
nobody
at the
kisses.
malt shop.
Yeah, because we also remember in a classic 50s sitcom, this is something that got pointed out in the WandaVision series in Disney Plus. Even married couples, like their Pleasantville parents, don't sleep in one bed. They have separate beds.
Separate beds. That's another big thing.
No sex, not even kissing. To them, the equivalent of kissing in Pleasantville is holding hands. And being in a relationship with like Bud wants to give him like his school pin.
Yeah, Bud wants to give her his pin. Doesn't she say like, why don't you give me something else? Like she says something real.
Oh yeah, she convinced them, let's go to Lover's Lane, and Lover's Lane is like a big deal, and they're like oh, you guys are in a relation. This is their
You're
first
holding
date.
hands in a car in a park.
So
this is it.
Yeah, they go off to Lover's Lane. Toby chases after, like, no, Jennifer, you can't him. He's not real. You can't what's not real. So they go to Lover's Lane, and Chip and Skip is like, oh, I didn't know if you wanted. This is kind of fast for us because like this is a big deal in their universe. And he's like, I wasn't even sure if like I could give you my pin. And she's like, oh, Skip, you can pin me anytime. And then
she goes, or I could pin you.
Exactly.
She goes, Mary Sue, how could you pin me?
I know. So he says they have sex, and this leads to.
Well, first, very funny.
Yeah.
It shoots to them very clearly, like rocking the car, but you can't really see them.
Yeah.
And she's making some sounds, and everyone else in Lover's Lane is like,
yeah,
what
because they're not alone.
Happening, but they're not. I don't think they're getting that frisky yet because they take a beat and sit up, and he goes, I think I'm ill.
Yeah.
And he looks down, and she's like, no, that's supposed to happen.
He's never had a boner before.
He thinks his body's broken.
The Rising of Skip.
Sequel. Spin-off. But yeah, and then she tells him it's supposed to happen, I think, and then they get frisky.
Yeah. Because like when he pops up, they still have most of like she's got like her blouse undone. You can kind of see her bra, but he's still got like his shirt on and stuff. So they're not fully naked, but.
And this is what starts the colors.
Yeah. So they do it. Mary Sue comes home. Jennifer comes home, and Bud's like, "You can't do that." And she's like, "I'm just having fun." And she goes up, and then Skip is like, he looks like he is high as hell. He's like, he's just had a godly celestial experience because like she's introduced sex into this world, and he's driving along, and he drops her off. He's driving down the street, and he's like really like beautiful car, and he stops to just have a moment like wow, and he looks to the side, and there's a bush of roses, and one of the roses is red. This is it. The world is changing, and it leads to like David keeps confronting Jennifer about it because now other things are turning colors. Like one of Mary,
because Skip goes and tells the other boys in the basketball team, like, "Hey, this is supposed to happen."
Yeah, because she starts Reese Witherspoon's character starts a sexual revolution. Because after Skip, he tells the other players, all of a sudden, all the other teenagers are doing a hell of a lot more than holding hands. They're holding other parts, but they go from the hand to here. I don't know.
They're pinning each other. They're all just pinning each other. I'm sorry.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, no, it's like, and other things start turning colors, and and Tobey Maguire's character is resistant to it at first, but. He's confronted about it. Like
he wants everything to stay as it is in Pleasantville.
Yeah, because Pleasantville, the show, was his escape. Because, like you said earlier, his life isn't the best. Like his parents are divorced. We never see the dad in the movie. The dad's completely out of the picture. I am assuming he left him or whatever. His mom doesn't want to spend time with him. She wants to get away. His sister and him are always at odds because their personalities are so different. Pleasantville is his escape. He was forced into Pleasantville by the magical Don Knotts, but if he had a choice, I feel like things would be different because the world is so bleak to him.
Yeah.
That why go back to it?
Well, there's the point where Don Knotts says you need to go home, and he says no.
Yeah, that happens later in the film after some other stuff develops. So and I will talk about the magical TV repairman because there are points in the film where he seems like he's angry at them and he's punishing them. Other points where he's rewarding them, and then other points where it's like, wait, did you want this to happen? Is this all part of the plan? Is this like a Beauty and the Beast situation where it's like, oh, I wanted you to find a girl and kiss. I didn't want you to be cursed forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right, so
I think this is around the time things start changing colors, and Reese has a conversation with her mother.
Yes, played by Joan Allen.
Yes. And there's a wonderful scene earlier where the firefighters, their main job is just to get a cat out of the tree.
Another classic TV trope.
They've never had a fire.
Yeah, because fire does not exist. It really, like, it kind of exists because, like, for cooking and stuff. But Reese Witherspoon tries to light a napkin on fire and it won't light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So earlier we see that only cats are in trees. That's what the firefighters do.
Yeah.
So she's explaining to her mother what sex is.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, well, I don't think my husband would be up for that." And Reese says, "You can handle this yourself, honey."
Yeah.
So it cuts to a scene of the mother in the tub, and she's having a very nice time.
Yeah.
And as she is about to be done having a nice time,
And things are turning colors.
the tree outside their house catches on fire.
It doesn't catch. It bursts
It
into flame.
spontaneously combusts.
It's one of the greatest scenes of cinematic history. The power of her womanhood ignites a tree. She could have just gone burning bush. She went full tree, and like, I'm sorry. I love this because it's this beautiful scene where she's discovering herself and things are turning. It's wonderfully done.
Yeah.
And then it just turns into comedy, diamond encrusted gold. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Because Toby runs to the fire department and he's screaming, "Fire, fire, fire," and there's no response. He runs up, he finds all the firemen just like playing cards or something, and he screams at them, "Fire!" No one has any response to him. Then he goes, "Cat?" And they all book it.
They launch into action.
And they get there and they have no idea what to do. So Toby shows them how to use their fire truck.
Yeah.
And the hose spits the water, and the guy goes, "Oh, that's what this is for."
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've never had to use anything like that.
No. This is because there's never been this is a universe where there are no emergencies, there are no crises. Mm-hmm. Everything is pleasant.
Which this is really a catalyst for Toby's change, in which he's acknowledged as a hero.
Yeah, he gets
for the town.
Gets a medal.
And what's her futz bakes him a pie instead of baking a pie for other guy.
Yeah. He Margaret, the head cheerleader, comes up to him, who in the show she's supposed to be sweet on Whitey, like the other guy at the school, but David's the hero now. So
instead of baking cookies for Whitey, she gives them to David, Toby's character, and he says, like, "These aren't supposed to be for me. You bake these for Whitey." And she goes, "No, I baked them for you." And I think that's sort of an oh crap moment for him, because now he's a catalyst for this change.
Yeah. It's really interesting because, Reese Witherspoon's character starts everything off and then slowly starts to shift to David kind of taking over in this role of, well, he's not changing. He's more of like, she started to change and now he's supporting the changes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's still kind of resistant. Like you said, he's like, "Oh no, you baked those for Whitey," and she's like, "No, I baked them for you." And he doesn't accept. She literally in his face.
Yeah.
And this is a moment for him because earlier in the film, when they're still in the real world, we see him pretending to have a conversation with a pretty girl at school, but he's like actually 50, 100 feet away from her.
And she's talking to like the popular guy.
Yeah. So this is a moment for him. It's like,
a girl likes me.
Yeah.
And she has cookies?
Yes.
God.
I know. So, yeah, this brings about more change, and we start to see David move forward, and there's this cool scene where, like, he goes to the soda shop where the character Bud works, and all the teens are there, And we've seen them all starting to hang out there more and more with the introduction of, like, the sexual revolution we talked about, but also, like, books. The kids are starting to, like, they have books, and Bud's, they're like, Jennifer Reese Witherspoon was like, "Oh, Huckleberry Finn." It's like I started to say what happened in the book, and the pages started to fill in, and they're like, but she's like, "I don't remember the rest of the book," and he's like, "You tell them," and he's like, "I don't know," and then Margaret pops out, and I'm like, "No, what happens?"
He's like, "Well, I mean, okay."
Nothing better for a teenage boy to motivate him than
a good old bullet bra.
Yeah.
And then he's just really in support of it.
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about the malt shop owner's sort of self-discovery with his painting.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels' character. Yeah.
Because he runs into the mother.
Yeah.
He comes to the house to talk to Bud.
Yeah, because he left early to try to stop Jennifer from banging Skip.
Yeah. So he comes over and he and Bud's mom lock eyes, and there's something there.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is curious to me because if it's such a one-dimensional place, I mean, like everyone's changing, but they locked eyes like they were so familiar with each other, which maybe like love at first sight.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, because they're
Something.
still in that point between fantasy and reality as they're getting closer to reality at that point.
Yeah.
But I also think it had a lot to do with his character because, like, just closing up the shop all by himself without Bud is a refreshing new experience for him.
Huge for him.
Yeah.
So I did the whole thing by myself.
And his character, probably within the context of the show, you would never see his character outside the malt shop. Like
Yeah.
on the Andy Griffith show, there's a lot of characters. I forget the character who was the barber. You didn't see him outside the barbershop a lot. So in universe, he knows of Bud's mom, but it may be the first time he's ever seen her, and he's like sees this beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like that's the greatest thing about his character is like. As the movie goes on, we see these characters who are resistant to the change, but he finds everything wonderful and refreshing, and
Loves
it's just different, and he's never had different before. As stupid as that sounds, different is amazing.
Yeah. So I think we're around this time where the town is really becoming divided on those who are in support of the changes,
Yeah,
and those who want to keep everything pleasant, black and white. So their father is approached by someone on council.
by the mayor of Pleasantville, played by J.T. Walsh, who there's one scene with him we're gonna get to later, but I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he approaches their father and says, these changes are scaring all of us. We want you to be on council. And he says, oh, absolutely. And he calls to the mother for snacks or something.
Pineapple kebabs, I believe, was the treat that he wanted.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And she doesn't come out. He calls and he calls. And he's getting a little worried. And Toby comes out and says she'll be out in a minute.
Yeah.
He goes back into the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, quick little thing. I love it when Toby appears in the doorway to the kitchen instead of the mother. William H. Macy, there's this moment on his face where you can tell he's actually upset for a quick, because you're not supposed to be in the doorway. The wife, I love that little bit of act. I just want to point that out.
The emotion.
Yeah, the emotion. Just like, this is wrong. You're not supposed to be in the kitchen,
Like, where's my wife?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he says she'll be right out. And it cuts to the mother facing away doing the dishes. And Toby's like, hey, what's wrong? And she turns around and she's full color.
Yeah.
Full. And she's crying. And she says, how am I supposed to go out there like this? And still, William H. Macy is calling for her. So there's this really beautiful scene.
Very beautiful.
Where Toby says, do you have any makeup?
Yeah.
And her compact is still in grayscale. And they sit at the table. And he does her makeup. And it covers her perfectly. Which I want to know what kind of makeup that is. Because it's hard enough for me to cover a zit. And he's there covering her entire face, neck with one little powder or maybe cream to powder compact perfectly. You can't even tell.
The way it had so much endless makeup, it reminded me like in 80s action movies where the guy like Rambo would have a big machine gun and it would just never run out of bullets. It was like that, but with makeup.
Oh my God, not to dismiss the beautiful moment.
Oh, it's great.
That it was gorgeous, but also, how did he change her hair? How did he change her eyeballs and her gums and the inside of her mouth? Yada yada.
Yeah.
But either way, it was a beautiful moment. He covers everything for her. She takes out the snacks. All is right in the world.
Yeah.
But then is the next thing that happens that she goes to visit the malt shop owner with the book?
Yeah, because we see that there's a point in the movie after they have this scene where the books fill in. Now the kids are not just into sex; they're into books. They want to learn. They want stories. They want to know about geography.
Library's bad.
Yeah, which is that great scene because they could have just left things off at the kids are having sex left and right, but it's not just that. They're they're expanding. They're growing. They're like, oh my God, there's all this stuff. And they're showing us just not they could have just left, like I said, they could have just left it at sex, but it's like no, these kids are expanding, and it's a great thing because they're not just even the side characters are given multifaceted elements to themselves, right? Yeah, so because we had this scene earlier where Toby's character, knowing that Jeff Daniels actually wants to do art because every December for Christmas he paints a Christmas thing on he paints the windows of the malt shop. And he's like, oh, it's pretty good. So Toby brings him this big art book from the library, and all these different kinds of like classical art from different eras and stuff.
And it's all in color.
It's all in color, and it's beautiful. And he's like, oh, I could never do that. He's like, oh, you just started. And he's like,
He
no,
says you can't do it yet. And I was like, oh.
I know. And he's like, he has this wonderful line where it's like, where am I going to find colors like that? And it's like, what he means, where am I going to find that kind of beauty? I think that's what he's really saying. It's like, I bet this wonderful line where he's like,
Just where am I going to see colors like that? Must be awful lucky to see colors like that.
yeah. So he just starts painting in the malt shop at night after work.
That scene just gets me every time. I think I teared up a little bit.
And she sees, like, he already painted the window in, like, this, like, I don't know what style of painting it is, but it draws Joan Allen in.
Yeah, it's all these beautiful colors, and it's maybe Picasso-y. I don't know art, but the guy has, like, 3 noses, like, his face is...
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just... That part gets me.
Yeah. She sees this painting of, like, a woman laying down, and Jeff Daniels is like, oh, she's resting, man. But no, she can see what the painting is. She can see the woman in the painting is actually crying.
Oh, yeah. The mother comes to visit Jeff Daniels at the malt shop. Yeah.
Yeah. And she starts crying.
And she wipes it away, and then her skin is revealed that it is not gray.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet. She's so embarrassed, but he takes his napkin and dips it in the water, and she lets him take off her makeup.
Yeah.
I want to know what kind of magic water that is. You usually have to scrub. But it is a beautiful moment between them. And I think they get a little frisky.
I don't, not on the first night. Something happens a little later, definitely.
They wake up together and she's in his arms.
Yeah, that happens a little bit later. She visits him again at another point.
There's so much happening in this movie.
I
In
know.
absolute like best way.
Yeah.
In the best way, but it's hard for me to keep it sequentially.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, because like I said, even like the supporting characters are given so much. Because our 2 main characters are Toby and Reese's characters, but Jeff Daniels' character, it's great. Yeah, and that scene where he like wipes it off, it is beautiful because she's terrified earlier before Toby's able to put the makeup on her.
Yeah.
And because she has a role in society, and her her role is to make sure she does everything in the house and the cleaning and everything, and she's terrified of because she knows how her husband will react. Not that they portray William H. Macy's character as violent or anything.
No, he's still like he's a wonderful man.
Yeah, he is.
He just doesn't understand.
Yeah, he's fine with the routine. He's content with the way things are.
Because it shows that while she's at the malt shop, he comes home and he calls,
Honey, I'm home.
Thunder and lightning start.
Yeah, and he looks around and he can't find her. And he goes to the kitchen. Where's my dinner?
Yeah.
And he's opening the oven. Where's my dinner? And I think he asks maybe 5 times, where's my dinner?
Yeah, he keeps going because he's like, this is not how supposed things to happen. This is not the routine. Like
This has never happened before.
Yeah.
In his entire infinite existence since the show started, it's never happened before.
Yeah, he's kind of like he's having the exact opposite reaction to Jeff Daniels' character. Change is scary to him. He's actually frightened. He's like scared. Like he can't make sense of like the things that happen every day not happening. It's really cool. And then it leads to
the rain scene at the gazebo.
The rain scene at the gazebo, and then we'll do another scene where like you take the gazebo scene. I got to talk about what's going on at the same time as the gazebo scene.
So this time, Toby and his girlfriend, is she colorful yet?
No, she's still in black and white, but when they go to Lover's Lane to get to the gazebo scene, they have this beautiful moment where the forest is still mostly black and white, but they're cherry blossom trees and all the petals are pink and they're like going through it, and it's this nice scene. And then they get into Lover's Lane and everything there is color at this point. A lot of the other teens are all colored up, the green grass, the beautiful water. Lover's Lane, is completely colored up. Yeah. It's great.
And I think they're maybe having a conversation, and there are a lot of other kids there, and it starts to rain. And they've never experienced rain before. They're terrified. Yeah. So all the kids run to the gazebo for shelter, and Toby says, it's just rain. It's fine. Everyone's okay.
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful, pivotal moment, and they run out into the rain, and then they wake up in the morning, and everybody is full color except for Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you can see he's kind of like, he apparently woke up before everyone else, and he's just sitting by the pond, and he's depressed because he's like, what's missing, And the same thing for Reese Witherspoon's character. They actually have a conversation later.
She's still in grayscale.
Yeah. Because everybody else is turning, and they don't, and she's like, had plenty of sex. Why am I not changing?
Yeah.
And Toby's like, I don't think it's just that, you know. And it's indicating it's about them because all the other characters, all the other characters are turning color is because they're discovering more about themselves through the. But for Reese Witherspoon, well, she had sex all the time when in the real world. So she's not really expanding, but we start to see the seeds of it. You know, they start to plant some stuff like
they show her studying. Shocker.
Yeah. But then at the same time,
Skip goes to her window.
Yeah.
To try to get her to come out, and she says, "No, I'm studying." And it's like she almost can't believe what she's saying.
Yeah. She's like, oh. Huh. And then another great funny scene in the movie for me is like at the time where the kids in Lover's Lane are enjoying the rain and all that stuff after, like, you know, Toby's like, no, come out, the rain's cool, it's fun. Their father, I love this. I got to go off on this thing.
Do it. Their
father goes after realizing like the mom is not home and there's no dinner and it's raining. He goes to the one sanctuary a man has left, the local bowling alley.
Yes.
And he goes in there and
he's drenched and all his friends are like, what happened?
What happened? Yeah, the mayor's there and they're all concerned like, you know, like George or what, I think his name's George. Go, let's sit down. And he's like, what happened? And he's drenched. He's like, rain. And they're like, real rain? And they're like, yeah, it's rain. And then he starts thinking like, what else, George? Like, I went home and no one was there and there was no dinner.
And they're like, no dinner?
Yeah. And then like they can't comprehend it. Like, what's going on? George is supposed to get his dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
And the mayor's there and, you know, he's like, guys, a lot of things are changing around here, you know. And he calls it one other character that we saw earlier in the. By the way, I love how the mayor starts out as like the comical, conceited authority figure. Because when we first meet him, all the guys are in the barbershop getting their haircut, and this one character named Ralph, he's in the barber chair getting his haircut, and then the mayor comes in and complaining about, like, not complaining, but pointing out like it's weird how the basketball team lost their game.
Yeah.
Because they're all too busy having sex. And Ralph gets out of the chair. It's like, oh, Mr. Mayor, please sit down. And he's like, oh, Ralph, I couldn't take your seat. And just as he's saying that, sits down in the barber chair. Yeah, he's just like in a sitcom format, that'd be funny. But we see him more and more being upset by the changes going around. Kids, you know, going to Lover's Lane all the time. In the library, there's the scene where all the kids, there's like a line out the door at the library of kids just getting books.
Yeah.
And he has a problem with it. So now we're at the bowling alley. And now it's raining and a man didn't get his dinner from his wife. And he calls Ralph over, who he stole his barber chair earlier. And he's like, Ralph, come show the guys what you showed me. And Ralph is like, it's okay, Ralph. It's okay. It's okay. We're here. Yeah.
He takes off his jacket and on his pressed white shirt, there's an iron scorch mark.
Yeah. His wife burnt his shirt.
And when he asked her what she was doing, she said, just thinking, and everyone's like, oh, my wife is thinking.
I know.
No.
This movie has so much going on. I mean, it touches on racism, like you said earlier, because there's
and examples coming up in a second.
Examples coming up in a second, but also touches on like feminism. I think a lot of what's going on with the mother, Joan Allen's character, has to do with that. But anyway, so yeah, like that's happening, and it's all these guys are like these adult men terrified of a woman thinking and like not because none of
30 years later it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Who could have guessed?
Yeah. So
30 years from the movie, 50, 60, 70 years from the time it was placed in.
Yeah. So Ralph goes sit down and everyone's like, what do we do? Like, I forget the mayor's like character name. What do we do? And he's like, I love this line. Well, thank God we're in a bowling alley. Like, they're safe in the bowling alley.
Kills me.
I know. And then I'm not going to say the name of the individual, this real world individual. But then the mayor, after like we see like the burnt shirt, gives a little speech. And some of the word choices and order he uses them reminds me of a certain contemporary political figure who I will not name.
It's a question of values. It's a question of whether we want to hold on to those values that made this place great.
But if you've seen the scene, you know who I'm talking about. I will not go because we're not going to get too deep into political social discussion because that's not what our show here is about.
Yeah.
But we're not dismissing it at all at the same time. But we start to see the mayor transform to just like the comical authority figure into a. This word gets thrown around a lot, so it's an F. It's a word that starts with F and ends in ashist.
Head bitch ashist motherfucker. That's all going to be bleeped out.
No, that's a triple bleeper.
You go, beep, beep, beep,
yeah.
beep, beep.
So,
Please keep that and just beep it all.
That's staying in. It's gonna get bleeped, but it's staying in. But yeah, so then we have this moment of like kind of racism later, where now like the mayor's having a city council meeting. Everyone's supposed to show up. And we have this nice scene where Bud found a bright red umbrella from like the school's like drama department, and he gives it to Margaret, and she loves, and she's spinning, and they're having this sweet moment.
And they're walking together, and it's very cute.
Yeah, and then who pulls up in a car? Whitey, the guy that she's supposed to be with, according to the rules of the show.
He's a little butthurt.
Yeah.
I don't even want to repeat what he says, because he asks Bud, "Why aren't you at the thing?" And Bud's like, "Why aren't you?" And he goes, something.
Whitey's Bud's like no reason, and Bud's just like Bud's like no reason, and Whitey's like, oh, we're just driving around to make sure everybody knows, and he's being very, his tone of voice is very antagonistic.
Yeah,
he's not making it because like Bud stole his girl.
That's then what he says.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Here's the thing. There's some stuff I know you can't say on YouTube, so you'll excuse me, but he uses a C word, not that C word, but a C word that is. People used to say a lot to describe a certain
people who aren't white.
Yes.
Yeah.
He calls her. He calls her something that I'm not sure. I don't know if we can say it on YouTube or not, but it's definitely is like, oh, okay, this is the racism allegory moment.
Yeah. Referring to how she is colorful.
Yes. Yeah. Because she's got the bright red lips, the nice dress. Yeah. So it's definitely it's not being subtle, but it works.
Yeah, it's not subtle at all, but it hit me. I was like, here's the racism allegory coming in hot.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurt me that he said that. We're approaching the end of the movie.
We are.
Did we miss anything?
I mean, little things here and there.
Nope.
The scene that starts a riot. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to take it or?
Sure, I will take it.
Okay.
So, we have to back up.
I
think of two different scenes. Okay.
Yeah. So the mom goes back to the malt shop to see Jeff Daniels scared.
Yes, and he decides to paint her.
Yeah.
Which is, very, very sweet, very beautiful. And then in the morning, it cuts to the image he has painted on the big glass windows of his shop, and it is her laying naked.
Yeah.
With her breasts exposed. Mm-hmm. And I think, is it a little kid who's the first to come up and see
It's the local paper boy.
Yeah.
Just tossing, and he crashes his bike. He can't handle it.
He can't handle the yabos. That's from Hocus Pocus.
I know, yeah.
But it is this beautiful scene when they show the painting, and it's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I should have done the research, but I would like to check out who they got to do the artwork in the film, because it's good. It's good stuff.
It was gorgeous. So Jeff Daniels has painted this very controversial thing, and it starts a riot. People throw I think bricks and chairs and just smash his windows, and they destroy the malt shop.
Yeah, they wrecked it.
And this is before the big meeting happens.
Yeah, this is before
at town hall.
Yeah, no,
it's sort of like an extra catalyst for this meeting.
Yeah. Because then they have a meeting where they start to, because not only does that happen, but then people, and this is where they start to see like the tyranny of oppression come in, because they have a book burning scene where they all the local the teenagers that are still all black and white, and they raid the library, pull out all the books, and they just have a big book burning fire out in the middle of the street. Once again, not being subtle about what's going on here.
Yeah.
But the mayor is becoming this tyrannical leader, and he's using Pleasantville, and he's saying, "Oh, we gotta keep the values that made this place great."
Yeah, he says we have to keep Pleasantville pleasant.
Yeah. So they have the town meeting to go over the code of conduct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it cuts to a scene of the colorful teenagers and the mom and Jeff Daniels in the malt shop, and he's reading the results of this, which was like 1, everyone must be kind to one another. 2, something else like positive, and 3 is like no more music that's not XYZ.
Yeah.
Paint colors must be limited to black, white, and gray. And I don't recall all of them off the top of my head, but it was, everyone be kind to one another, but don't be different.
Yeah.
Unless you have no choice.
And they're trying to roll back the clock. They're trying to regress all the progression that these characters have made, who've embraced the changes and are excited about the changes. Because all the other people, they're like Bud's dad. They're like, they don't want the change because they're scared of it.
Yeah.
There's technically nothing wrong with the changes that have been going on. But yeah, so they realize like, oh, they're going to try to turn things back. One of the characters turns on the jukebox, and one of the girls is like freaks out, like, no, we can't listen to that anymore.
Yeah.
And she's genuine terrified. And Bud's like, no, because Bud's totally become the leader at this point.
Yeah.
He's become this leader, and we got to talk about the moment he turned, because he's colored at this point. He's gained his colors.
When does this happen?
Joan, his mom, is being harassed on the street by Whitey and his little gang.
Oh, right. Oh, and he comes up and he punches Whitey in the face.
Yeah, Whitey goes down. He looks up and he's got blood. He's got red blood.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and they run off.
Fuck you, Whitey.
Yeah.
That's kind of an allegory for the
Oh,
whole
yeah. No, once again, not subtle, but it works.
Not subtle.
Yeah, and then we turn to the camera, and Tobey Maguire has now gained his colors, and Joan Allen's so proud of him, shows him the little pocket mirror that the same like little pocket makeup mirror that he used to help her earlier, and now it's like using to show him.
Yeah, and it's colorful now, right? So her mirror is gray.
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah, her clothes, everything she's got, because she's embraced it. Because right before that, we had a scene where like she has a conversation with the husband, William H. Macy's character, and she's telling him, "I'm gonna go out." And he's like, no, you're not. You gotta
make me meatloaf.
Yeah. And he's like, I did make you a meatloaf, but it's in the fridge. You can heat it up. She even tells him like how to cook it.
Yeah, turn this little knob to 350.
Yeah.
Put the pie in 40 minutes later.
Yeah. He's telling her like, no, you're gonna be home every night at this time. You're gonna have dinner on the table at this time. This is how it's gonna be. And she just like, not in a mean way, but just like firmly and confidently like,
no, I'm not, sweetie.
Right? No, she realizes what she wants. She wants to go embrace her womanhood. She wants to, feel beautiful. And she wants to go to Jeff Daniels, who makes her feel beautiful.
Yeah.
Because he's, once again, like he's not interested in doing that. He's like, this is our roles in society. This is what we're supposed to be. You're supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be that. Mm-hmm. Like, But
it's important. He's not judging anybody throughout this whole thing. He's just afraid.
Yeah. He's like, what's the word? He's a part of the system. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't, like he doesn't see, he's not even considering changes are good or okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just like this. He's not being adventurous in any way, shape, or form.
Very set in his ways.
Exactly. This is the world, and that's how it's supposed to be. No, it's not how it's supposed to be. This is just how it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after that, then we have Bud gaining his colors with the punch.
Yes.
Then we're in the malt shop. And they're like, what are we going to do? Everyone falls asleep. The malt shop becomes like their refuge.
Yeah.
So then we go to next morning. Once again, the paper boy's out tossing papers. And we cut to a giant mural on the side of the police station.
Full color.
We got reds and blues and yellows and vermilion. They actually list all the colors later.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. And this is their way of protesting. Him and Jeff Daniels, they painted it, and the whole town shows up again, and they're
yelling, and
rabble,
and they're upset.
Yeah.
So Toby gets himself thrown in jail.
Yeah.
We don't see Jeff Daniels in jail, do we? We just see Toby in his cell because his dad comes to visit him.
Yeah, his dad comes to visit him, and asks, why did things change? Why seems to be different? And Toby's like, well, things change.
People change, and yeah. And it's so, he just walks in and he's like, yeah, so, your mom stepped out. And Toby says, for how long? He goes, 3 days. And Toby's been just consoling him.
Yeah.
Sort of showing that it's okay to change and people change and things change.
Yeah. 'Cause he's kind of like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, his dad is kind of like this frightened, confused child. He doesn't know how the world works outside of the routine that he was used to. He really is, it's got this like childlike confusion to him.
Yes, very lost puppy.
Yeah, because once again, his dad isn't villainous. He's just part of the system.
But he's also at the same time discovering his own emotions and his feelings that he's never had. And he's not sure how to cope with any of this or what that means for him and his future.
Yeah. He has no ill intent. He just wants to feel safe, and the routine is safety for him.
Yeah.
This is what he knows. Yeah.
Yes. And then we cut to the courthouse scene where Bud and the malt shop owner are on trial for what they've done.
Yeah, and all the people who've gained colors are in a separate section away from all the black and white people. Once again, not being subtle. I love it.
Yeah, because all the people with colors are in the back.
Yeah.
Yes. And the judge, aka the mayor, I guess, asks 2 questions. Yeah. 1, did you do it?
Yeah.
And 2, probably still like, did you do it? I forget what the questions were, but they were so like.
Yeah, I think he like
blank.
Yeah, well, he asked like, did you do this, and like, did you know these colors were illegal? And then he lists off all the colors that were used in and there was like a dozen of them or something like that.
Yeah, and bless Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, what if I use just a few colors or pre-approved colors or different colors? You can even pick them. Like he so badly wanted to be able to express himself with color because Toby tried to speak up.
Yeah.
And he got shut down. So then Jeff was sort of almost groveling and begging. And Toby gets up and he's saying, no, I'm going to say something. Yeah. And I'll let you describe this because you get the
Yeah, so it's so great because he tries to like appeal to, like he asks him like, wait, don't we get a lawyer? And it's like, oh, we don't need a lawyer. These like it seems pleasant. Yes. Right. But it's totally, he doesn't want to keep things, it's totally obvious the mayor doesn't care about pleasantries. He cares about being in control. This is a power move. He wants things to be his way, regardless of how the people, his own citizens, feel. Because there is a divide. But then Toby gets up and he's telling people like, "Hey guys, I know you're all scared. I know this is all different. I know you guys want things to stay pleasant, but there are better things than pleasant. There's silly and dangerous, sexy, yeah." And he starts listing off all these different things that were never existed before. And this is really cool to see his character arc because once again, Pleasantville was an escape for him. He didn't want to live in reality, but he now sees how much better reality is. Even on times in your life where things can get bleak, the infinite amount of possibilities that real life offers, even as all the bad ones, is still living because Pleasantville wasn't living.
Yeah.
So he starts listing all this off and he points up to like, these people up here I just have seen something in themselves that's in all of you too. They're just embracing it. And the mayor's like, he like pounds the gavel. He's like, you're
out of my house.
Yeah, you're out of order. And he's like, why? It's because it's like, you said I could speak. And he's like, I didn't say you could lie. And he's like, I'm not lying. He goes up to William H. Macy. And he's like, Dad.
Ugh, this scene gets me.
Right, because William H. Macy, great actor. Toby Maguire, also great actor. He's like, like you were telling me, like, you miss Mom. Right? Maybe it's not just the cooking and the cleaning you miss. Maybe it's something more, something deeper. And he's like, look up at Mom. Doesn't she look great like that? Don't you want to tell her how much you love her?
Oh, this is going to make me cry. I cried when I watched it, too.
Oh, yeah, and he's got tears in his eyes. He's like, oh, yeah. And then finally, like,
he says, doesn't she look just as beautiful as the day you met her?
Exactly. Great, wonderful scene. Gets the,
God,
tugging on the heartstrings. Yeah. And then boom, he gets his colors. Now he's colored all over, and it's like, once again, the mayor's like, out of order, you're pounding that gavel, damn, you're breaking the damn thing. And he walks up and he's like, it's like, see, it's in everybody. He's like, no, it's not. And he's like, it's in you too. And he's like, no, it is not. And Toby's like,
what do you want to do to me right now?
Exactly. He's like, you want to tear me apart, do you? Don't you? You want to like beat the crap out of me or something? He's like, anything could happen next. Like we just had a flood. Teenagers are making out in this. Like we didn't know we had rain. Teens are making. We could have a flood any moment. And he's like,
that is not going to happen. But it could happen. No, it could not.
And the rage brings out his colors, and then and then Joan Allen's like, Bud, tosses him the mirror. I like how they keep bringing back the pocket mirror.
Yeah.
That's like this,
the mother stands up from the upper back pillar and she tosses him her mirror. Yeah. And he shows his face. I'm sorry.
No, never stop being you. That's what Pleasantville is teaching us. Be you. Okay.
Yes, say blackface, even if you know it's going to get bleeped out.
And I like the thing about the mayor was he turns colors, but his clothes still stay black and white. And I don't think that's like, not that his clothes haven't changed yet. I think that's just symbolic of who he is. He wants the black and white. He represents the black and white. I think that was, I don't think that was just, they haven't changed yet or whatever. I think that was like typical. And I love how in the scenes when he's talking in the courtroom, whether it's during the town meeting or this scene, you can see the Pleasantville town symbol behind him with the two hands shaking, and it's like that, neighborly and all that stuff. But because it's always seen behind him when he's giving one of his like speeches about, we got to keep things pleasant, but it's really, he's talking about we've got to control things. It's really showing that the town symbol is probably not what it really represents, what they make it out to be, or at least that he's twisted it up in its symbolism, But anyway, so the mayor freaks out. He's turning colors.
He runs. He books it out of there.
Yeah. And somebody's like, guys, come outside. And they go outside, and the whole world is colors, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, it's stunning.
Yeah. Because that's one of the things that makes the way they handle colors in this movie so great, because we have so many scenes of just black and white. And the colors in Pleasantville are so much more vibrant than in the real world. That's another thing I think they did on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that things weren't like completely dull, but just weren't as vibrant. So when things turn color, it's like really eye-catching and everything. Now the whole town's colored. Green grass, blue skies.
Yeah. Well, I will say we're in the concrete jungle, more or less, you and I in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I'm from the country, and there are places that really do look like Pleasantville when everything's in bloom, and it's just stunning.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, and even the city's so vastly different, but Pleasantville is just blooming. It's stunning. It's gorgeous. There's celebration. There's confusion.
Yeah.
There's now camaraderie happening.
Yeah, but Toby runs up to the TV store, and he sees on TV is like people surfing and other things going on in the world. So like they're no longer in this like bubble. They're a fully fleshed out universe. Like other cities exist, other countries exist. A whole world is now opened up to them. They're not just Pleasantville. They're the world. Still, I think the movie still makes it as like Pleasantville as like its own universe. Yeah. But at least it's a whole complete universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great moment because it's this victorious moment where like the hopeful future. They don't know what's going to happen next, but that's the great thing. Yeah. They don't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, then he runs into his sister, and she has decided she's not leaving.
Yeah.
In a plot twist and a turn of events. And it's funny, she says, you really think I'm going to get into university in the real world? No. She's like, I'm going to stay here and go to school. And it shows her getting on a bus with the name of a different town on it.
We go back to their house, which is now all in color too. Margaret is saying goodbye to Toby, and the mom comes in, and they gave him like a little like brown paper bag, and the mom made him like fried chicken and stuff and all that stuff. And she gives him like a Letterman's jacket with the Pleasantville P on there.
To keep him warm.
Yeah. Even though he's basically teleporting, I guess. Yeah.
Could be cold teleporting,
Yeah. But it's this real dramatic moment because they've all bonded, because she really has become like a second mother to him. Yeah. She's not just some fictional character. She's this human being that they've been through a lot together now. Because they basically went through 20 years of American civil unrest in like a week.
Yeah, right. That's a lot.
Yeah. So he gets the big old chrome out silver remote, presses a button, and just like nice fade transition into the TV, back to the real world.
Yes, back to his crying mother.
Yeah.
Who cut her trip short. She was so upset. She says, who am I kidding? He's 10 years younger. That makes me feel older, not younger. And she's just sobbing. She's in tears, and her mascara is running, and she says, my makeup must be a mess. And he tells her, no, it's not. And he, just like Jeff Daniels did, he takes the little napkin and he wipes at her eyes. And he says some very sweet things to her. Yeah, because she said
I had the right house, I had the right car, I had the right life. There is no right house, there is no right car.
Yeah.
And she asks him, when did you get so wise or so smart or something? Yeah. It's just this very beautiful moment where it seems like they're connecting on a level they probably haven't.
Oh yeah, they've been like, I don't want to say estranged, but they haven't really talked.
They haven't been close.
Yeah, they haven't connected. Yeah.
It seems like she hasn't been motherly toward them. Yeah. So that was a beautiful moment. And then the movie ends with, or it doesn't end with the flash over to Pleasantville.
Jennifer is having a great time at college. You know, she's meeting people and being intellectual, because that was her. She gained her colors by getting into literature and reading, which they set up a little foreshadowing in the film, because she's like, the first time she notices the books are blank, she accidentally found herself in the library. She got lost. And then the malt shop moment where she filled in the Huckleberry Finn for the first few chapters. Yeah. So she's doing well at college. We got this one guy who's like eating a popsicle, and it's all, once again, the beautiful, vibrant colors.
Gorgeous. He's eating this bright orange popsicle over the trash. He's losing pieces of it. And it's such a human experience.
Yeah.
Something so small as that, though, is such like a big thing in the Pleasantville world. Just having your popsicle fall apart is something they've never had before. Yeah, because it was still in the sitcom, and like that scene would just be one big chunk that you could lick forever, like it was an everlasting gobstopper. They've never cut the corners of their mouths on the cool pops, the fizzy pops that you have to cut off, and then somehow you always slice yourself. You want to know how I got these scars? That's bonus footage right there. Yeah, and then go ahead. Sorry. You describe the final scene because I love it so much. The final scene is the mom and the dad, Joan Allen and William H. Macy, sitting on a bench like at some park. I think he says, "So what happens now?" And she's like, "I don't know. Do you?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And it pans back to her. She's smiling. And then it pans back to where William H. Macy is supposed to be. But then Jeff Daniels is sitting there. He's like, "I don't know either." And it leaves that open like, okay, is she going to like continue to pursue Jeff Daniels? Or is she going to go back to William H. Macy now that he's changed, or are we ending the movie with a throuple? I don't know. Are we like? They've been progressing very quickly. They're probably caught up. I know. She's woman enough for both of them. She is. But it's just such a wonderful ending. Yeah, it's unknown, and the unknown's okay. Yeah. So what happens now? I don't know. Yeah, just a wonderful movie that I holds up so well. It truly does. A lot of things from 30 years ago have not aged well. Yeah. This, in my opinion, aged beautifully. And a lot of people say it's one of the most underrated movies from the decade, or even like the end of the decade. Well, yeah, because it was. I remember it got a ton of hype and buzz when it came out. And I used to watch it over and over again because they would rerun it on like Stars or Cinemax and all that stuff. But after a while, it just kind of faded away. And I rewatched it during the pandemic on a movie night with friends. And I was excited because I used to watch it all the time, but and then I was like, damn, this movie's still holding up. Yeah. I think the only thing that doesn't hold up is like during the 90s, there was like a renaissance of like old style sitcoms. A lot of that had to do with like Nick at Night, Nickelodeon's late night program. So I think maybe people may not get that right now because of the 50s aesthetic outside of like a pinup model kind of like Art Deco thing. But in terms of the style of the media, I mean, maybe WandaVision helped out with that. So maybe but I really think I grew up watching I Love Lucy. Yeah, I grew up watching Bewitched and the Munsters. So yeah, I really hope people start to rediscover this film because, like, once again, we're not getting super deep, but the social and political messaging is so relevant. Which is which is great for the film. Not really great for us as a society that we're still dealing with this crap. But guys, such a good movie. Great visuals. The visuals alone are worth checking out. But then everyone's doing a great performance. Mm-hmm. Really cool story that we pointed out. You especially pointed out. So many things are going on, but they're all like well balanced. Everyone's got their proper time to get in what they're doing. Great movie. I'm so glad that you picked it so I could watch it again. Yes. Always down for watching this movie. And I hope William H. Macy gets a dinner. I want to see a sequel where he cooks for her. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be a 2-hour-long movie of him making a meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Yeah. I want to see like a sequel where now Toby's the magical TV repairman. Ooh, I'd watch that. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad we watched this one. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, thanks again for picking it. Yeah, and the next one that you picked is also one of my favorites. Yes, another Toby movie. We didn't plan it. No, we didn't. No, we're just like, we love Toby Maguire. We do. We're not gonna say which one, but it's probably his biggest. So you can figure that out.
All right, guys, Pleasantville. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it in a long time? Never seen it before? Let us know down in the comments how you feel about this movie.
I forget what you wanted me to say next. something. Here's our next video, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.